As a data-driven marketer, I'm very convinced that message testing is key. But if I look at my own behavior and of the teams I'm constantly working with, asking them to do like 5 different alternatives of their main message and test them has usually ended up on a very strong B priority. But these days we can do this with AI-generated creatives and put in the work that normally takes a long time, 1 or 2 weeks, into 1 or 2 hours. And I want to show you my complete process for that one. So let's dive in. As always, feel free to either read, watch, or even listen to this. Watching leads you to YouTube, and listening goes to Apple Podcast and Spotify if you prefer to just have me on your ears. But this one is particularly good watching because we're going to show a lot of real data. So here's the issue. It's the comfort of the local maximum. Yeah, if you closely looked at the image at the top, you can see this landlubber over here is totally convinced this is the best messaging. Yeah, but they are standing on a local maximum. Here's another peak. And over here is the pirate who realized, nope, this is the actual maximum. Trust me, that pirate also is just on a local maximum, just currently thinking that this one is the best. So, but it's comfortable. It's so comfortable to just sticking with what has been working in the past or what your intuition has told you. But as with everything, we are very often just stuck in what's called like a local maximum. Yeah, if you remember that in math class, like you had 2 peaks in a graph, and the one at the bottom was just a local maximum, but if you look at the whole graph, there is clearly an absolute global maximum. And this is what we are constantly striving for. A bit of an abstract analogy, I know, but this is what it really comes down to. Stepping away from our belief that we are right and doing some strong assumptions and testing them against reality. And you will be rewarded at the other end by higher performing campaigns. I took myself on that challenge again, reflected my assumptions of why I believe people come, for example, to our meetup, the Vibe Coding Cologne event, and I'm going to share all of my wrong assumption and what the real results were at the end that were very clear actually turn out to be. So the pitch for AI here is that it collapses the time it takes to explore. And you can turn your message testing like from a B priority in something you can do on the side. Yeah, and then after you've done it 1 or twice, you make it your main priority after you see the results. It's no question about that. So how do we get to those better message ideas? And what I have found is a very structured framework around positioning. Yeah, positioning your business, your brand, your product in the marketplace. And my favorite go-to person is April Dunford with her amazing book, Obviously Awesome. She later wrote another book called Sales Pitch, where she takes the marketing ideas from her positioning frameworks and put them straight into how to do it with a sales pitch. So if you are in a tech-first business, she is the go-to person I would read the book of. Another great thing about April is the AI knows her stuff pretty well. So you can do your own little positioning framework already. This is not replacing her real life work, but that costs by now a couple of $100K per workshop. So what you can do is you can copy this prompt, put it into your favorite ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and let the AI take you through one of her workshop as best as the AI understands it. The outcome is pretty awesome. I have to say, I've done this multiple times for myself and for other people, and we were all blown away. So what is this positioning framework and why is it helping us? I prefer to use framework. You can use whatever you like, but I can recommend this one very strongly for the AI to think more clearly and to not guess so many underlying assumptions about you and your business. For example, number 1, if your product doesn't exist, what are the competitive alternatives that people are currently already using? Or number 2, what is really the unique attribute that your product has that really separates it also from those alternatives? Then, do you have any proof for the value and the benefit your product provides? And how do you want to communicate that? So the AI picks up on that later. And then, What are the attributes of your target market? If you look at the really best fit customers who truly like get it and love your product, or where you in the beginning assume that they are the most sought after target market, what aspects do they have? Are they large companies, small companies, B2B, B2C, which industry, etc.? And then if you want to like win a certain space or box where you clearly become the number one, like what would that market category be called? That helps the AI a ton to think more clearly about your product, and it helps your market. The only thing that I would add to a framework is a real focus on pain points. She covers that a lot in the value, like the problem it solves, but I would prefer for advertising to make it even more explicit for the AI to think about what are the key pain points and frustrations of your audience, and how is your product, your solution solving that. The AI is incredibly able to develop what we call angles based on each of those pain points. So let's try. The real reason I want you to take this little extra one time up front to do a little positioning framework is that I often observe that without the depth that this positioning framework brings, the angles that you're going to test are going to be too obvious, too close to each other. Give it some more depth, or whichever thinking you have done before on customer avatars and messaging and so on. Throw this all into the mix. It doesn't have to be just based on this framework. All right, let's get into it. What is the AI creative testing workflow that works for me? So I now live and work in tools like Cursor or Claude Code. And if you do that already, this is my recommendation. Create a folder like /docs/context, through all of the workshop information in there. Just do the whole workshop in there. I know that's not all of you, so use your favorite chat AI, like, for example, ChatGPT, but don't just use a single chat, but create a little project called message testing. Yeah, that ensures that all of the future iterations and communication you have has a clear context. It has the workshop in it. It has the different angles that you created in the past. And that's the good starting point. Yeah. And then go up. First step is start with the positioning framework, but as an additional step, you can do this on multiple levels. Your company, a specific product line, or like a lead magnet. Yeah. My recommendation is hone in on what your upcoming campaign is that you want to do message testing for. Me, I have chosen for this case, why do people come to Vibe Coding Cologne? This is our offline meetup that we do once a month, where we take like Vibe coders and Vibe marketers, bring them together and exchange what is currently working and what's not working. Yeah, this honing down on a specific ICP, ideal customer profile, will help you get even sharper messages than before. Step 2, angle generation is actually quite easy. So an angle is something that a marketer can use. So if you look at the bottom here, we have 5 angles for Vibe Coding Cologne. My personal angle, my local maximum that I'm stuck with, is the autonomy angle. Stop waiting for a CTO, start building and grow it. That is my main hypothesis here. But it could also be about speed. Yeah, that people like an angle like what took weeks now can be done in hours. Or the community angle, where Cologne comes to learn with AI. Or maybe the idea is that they're looking for a co-founder, but they can't just find it. So the angle could be like a no co-founder, no problem. And so on. Yeah, we could do this all day long. And the AI is incredibly capable on doing this well for you, and they are the creator and you are the curator. You say, out of the 10 ideas, I like 3, 6, and 7. Could you please create more in that direction? I'm also thinking about this and that, and you need to get to this point where the AI creates like 3 to 6 strong angles. In my example, I went for 5. 5 is easily testable in a given week. And then you start generating. This is step 3. You use tools like FellAI and models like NanoBanana Pro. The platform doesn't matter, but the AI model actually does matter. And there are a couple of good ones. I currently work with NanoBanana Pro. Ask me again in 6 weeks, and we shall see. And here you can see a list of the ad creatives I have used. Yeah, if you're listening to this now, you see real static images with a headline like no co-founder, no problem. Then a beautiful image of a pirate in the middle working alone with multiple monitors. And then a call to action to come to Vibe Coding Cologne and the upcoming event, and a call to action join button. I also added the prompt here for the autonomy one, because that is my current favorite. And I think it's going to win. And this prompt resulted in that image on Fel AI with the Nano Banana Pro. So you can retry that and update it and use it maybe as a starting point for your own prompt. This takes roughly 10 minutes per message. So why doesn't it work the first time? Yeah, because you probably haven't done this before. After created the first working prompts, everything gets better and better, and you use a variant of the model like Nano Banana Pro, but this time with editing, where you give it the image that you already like, but you don't like how it phrased some words. You find a typo. You want to change the date. You do this with these image editing models. Yeah, very easily done. Yeah, so maybe it takes 10 minutes to find one creative you go through. This would have taken days. And just imagine the back and forth with your designer. And no, you just can do it so much faster now. And then you can give it your designer and they can make it even better. Yeah, that's totally fine for me. But these 5 visually look comparable. It seems like a fair fight here. You don't even have to create images. I went as far as just using the same image and then just changing the text for the message testing so people are not so strongly influenced by the image. But I know that a lot of people just don't like that. They like a bit more branding on their images. So this is how you get to the images. But we won't stop there. Images are cool. But what if we had a 4th step, where we generate videos from these images, as you can see if you are reading this article. So I highly recommend going to the Captain's Insights articles section here after you maybe listened to this. So you turn your static images with a video generation model like currently I like to use Veo 3.1 fast. There's another non-fast model, but the cost is substantial to create those videos. Each generation of those videos has cost me 60 cents. Doesn't sound a lot, but it takes like a couple of iterations, yeah? And so maybe a final video costs you $2. Compared to designer, I know again, this is irrelevant, but yeah, this is compared to video, to image generation, not a completely insignificant cost. So expect to spend like $10-20 in your first batch of creatives. Once you have established prompts for animating your videos, this will go much faster and cheaper. On that point, I really recommend that after you have created the images and the videos, start developing a little media prompt library. In Fel AI, you have a complete history of all the prompts you used. Just chuck them in addition to this prompt I provided for you, and let the AI extract the style guide for future image generations and video animations. This will really break down what the visual style is, but also the brand voice, yeah, maybe some technical patterns that you use, and create templates that you can use again and again. I have like a little markdown file in my code base for that. And when I want to create a new image, I write a new article. I ask the AI, hey, what are like 5 ideas? What could be great visual images to encapsulate this idea? I pick 1 or 2, ask it to create a prompt based on that with the help of our past prompt library, and I'll test those. Then I do a couple of iterations, stuff that back in. I say like, hey, this prompt actually worked for me. Please save it. If you have anything to update in our general style guide, do so now. And so my prompt library develops over time. Very, very, very good. Yeah. Please do that. Do something similar. Now, on to step number 6. We have some great creatives, but how do we get data? I love to use meta ads for testing my creatives. I prefer this over organic posts because every normal Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter post feels like a lottery with the algorithm. Is it going to be picked up? Was it the right weather, the right day of the time? I don't get it. But ads are very independent. They are not people who are already fans of you, which is also a big advantage. And you can very clearly budget that. And for B2B and B2C, I recommend Meta ads. For pure B2B play, or if you absolutely cannot see yourself on Meta, also consider LinkedIn, but expect to spend at least 10 times as much as on Meta to get the same results. But here we go. How would I structure that? You see now a little diagram here with one big campaign. So you set up one campaign, set a budget like $500. So that every angle that you have is in an ad set and is guaranteed to get $100. How little can you spend? I would say 100 is the minimum. In the experiment and the data I'm going to show you, I spent 300. In general, I recommend something between 250 and 500 to get 5 creatives properly tested. Otherwise, you will not get results that you're really confident in. So in this case, you can just put in static images, but you could also have the images and videos compete with each other. But I just created per ad set. Let's say the autonomy ad set would get $100 with one image for autonomy and one video for autonomy, because I want to see what performs better, image or video. And then you set it to $20 a day, let it run for 5 days, because every ad set is going to spend $20. So that's $100 a day over 5 days, it's $500. So let it run about a week and it will be done. So, and then you have to ideally optimize for conversions. Let's talk about that. So once you set your budget, you have to consider, do I just let it run, or do I have to do some more tracking optimization? I'm a huge fan of doing proper conversion tracking, but I'm also an analytics nerd. You can totally do this without the pixel, and the best metric that you want to optimize for in your message testing is called CTR, click-through rate. What is the percentage of people seeing your ads? So every $10 you spend, 1,000 people see it. And an average CTR is, for example, 1%. So this is usually the benchmark I try to hit at the minimum, at least for non-absolutely boring products. And then my ads could be below or above that click-through rate, and that would tell me, this message seems to land better than that message. But wouldn't it be even better if you could, for example, have like a lead form on the other side of the click on a nice landing page, and inviting people to sign up for a freebie or so, where you could measure it's not just clicking, but the action they take on your website. That is called conversion tracking. You need to solve this in 3 parts. First, you have to have proper cookie consent on your website. I'm using a tool called iBenda for that, but there are many alternatives. Then you set up event tracking. I do this in Post Talk, used to do it a lot in Google Tag Manager, and most marketers are still doing that there. We have a whole section in the Builder Codex under Analytics where I explain all of this stuff. And then you add, if you use meta ads, for example, the meta pixel, and you configure it in a way that it fires when a person submits a form, for example. Whatever conversion you want to measure is fine. Add to carts, e-commerce checkouts, form submissions, all good. So, and that allows you to analyze your results in a much more meaningful way. When analyzing your results, you should wait a couple of days for results to come in, usually like 2 or 3 days. And then I'm looking at these numbers. What is my click-through rate? What is the percentage of people who clicked on there? 1 to 2% is good. Below that is bad. Everything above 2% is just insanely good. Then what did it cost me per click in B2B? It often cost me $1 to $5 per click. Depends on the country that you're targeting in, but that is about right. And then what is the conversion rate at the end? So how many people at what percentage actually became leads after the click? So everything, 5 to 15% is okay. Below that, it's not okay. Above 20 is really great. Then the CPL, what is the cost per lead? If I prefer to usually do message testing with leads where people have to give me their contact data, and it varies wildly from product to product. Yeah, but in B2B, expect like 20 to 50, in B2C, 5 to 10, 15. At Pirate Skills, I usually know everything above 10 is a lot. Yeah, for me, for my freebies. Yeah, not for book a sales consultation. Yeah, there I'm maybe paying more like 50. But for a freebie, it's below 10. So, and based on these numbers, we can say like, the best angle is going to be the one where we've got the most leads at the cheapest price. And if we don't have conversion tracking, we just can say, where do we get the most clicks at the cheapest price with the highest click-through rate? And the click-through rate is especially important to me because it really shows interest in the message that you had. So now you run the campaign. Here, I've already done it. If you're reading this, then you can see a screenshot from my meta ads report where everything that is important is completely exposed. We go through this example for now where I promoted actually this Wednesday's Vibe Coding Cologne event. And we spent $300 here over 10 creatives. We have our 5 angles. Each one got 1 image, 1 video version. But how to interpret that data now? Yeah, let me just show you the most important columns. Here's where you see the ad spend, the total of 300. But you see that the meta ads algorithm didn't give everyone the same amount of money. So what is happening there? Because we set it up in a way where the ad set, so each angle gets the same money, Meta still has the freedom to have the ads below that fight, and I had it fight image versus video. So in the autonomy one, which I hope it wins, there was an image and an ad, and we can now see where does it say autonomy here? This is the video. This is where it spent 51 on the video. No, this is actually the automation one. This is 54 for the image. For autonomy, stop waiting for permission to build. And the video just got $6. Brr. Yeah, so in total, they maybe got like $60, which makes sense. Like 60 times 5 is 300. But the AI heavily favored the image over the video. Yeah, even though I thought those videos were amazing and super cool, in this example, it didn't win. So now which one is the best? What would you say? Before you scroll down, look at this data and decide which is the best ad and why. And here I get wild results. I see people say, yeah, obviously this one here, the image, stop waiting for permission to build because it got the most money. But it doesn't matter how much money they get. It's about what got me the most leads at the cheapest price. So we can look here. There is one that got the most leads. Yeah, it's also the one that got the most money. That absolutely is independent of each other. There is a correlation, but it could have just as well been that an ad with $30 ad spend got 11. And it cost me like €4.97 for that lead. At least that is the fully attributed data where users consented to be tracked. But there is also another one here at the top that just got $35. Yeah, that got a much higher click-through rate here. And that has the cheapest cost per lead, but it has less leads. So is this now better? That is the question. One of the beautiful things these days is that you can ask the AI to take all of the data. There's always an export function in the top right in your ads manager. You just get the CSV file, throw it into the AI and ask how it would interpret the data, which angle won, was it images, was it videos? And I did that as well. And let's take a look. So the first thing I usually do is I look at the campaign result by ad. That is the most detailed view. And you can already see this has been sorted, that the AI thinks that the video community ad that got $35 is the best. And these columns are ideally also the ones that you always look at in your ads manager. How much did you spend? How many people saw it? That is the impressions. How many people clicked? what was the click-through rate, what was the price per click, cost per click, how many leads did you get on the other end, at least the ones that Meta could track because of cookie consent, what was the conversion rate between like click and lead, and what is the cost per lead. And this one is, of course, just interpreted data, the rating. So why does the AI think that the video community one is the winner? First of all, it had the best click-through rate. There are other good ones, but there are some clear losers here as well. Like here, 0.88, the co-founder gap. Or down here, why are they grayed out? They're grayed out because they didn't reach my internal minimum of getting 1,000 impressions. So the AI on the Meta ad side has decided after 573 impressions, this ad doesn't get any more juice. Let's put it all into the video because it produced results cheaper. I optimized the ads for conversion, and you can see that none of these got even one conversion. But why the hell did the AI stop here after $6? That would have been totally fine to spend more money. This is what I call premature optimization. This is why we still need us humans. We just have to say, I cannot interpret the data. It looks bad that they didn't convert one, but they got so little money that it's very hard. I don't do any interpretation before either $10 were spent on an ad or 1,000 impressions. Even then, it depends very much on your cost per conversion when you feel comfortable. Would I feel comfortable making any assertions about the first $50 that just produced two results? No, I'm not. Yeah, but what I am confident about that these two here at the top, they look pretty strong. Even the third one here, which is also community related, looks super promising. So even just from angling this, I see 2 times community at the top. And then there's one autonomy that got most of the money. Yeah, this one just I can't interpret. And then co-founder is like in the middle, automation is in the middle, speed is at the bottom. So this is already the first data-driven information. So let's dig deeper. Now let's take our top app with the video community one. This was, let me just scroll up for the people watching this. It's this guy. Yeah, let's zoom in. Where Cologne learns to build, grow, and automate with AI. And then we have this dome at the end. I think this is very salient because of the local relevance here. And then we even got some proof below that. 100 builders every month, real skills, good ROM. Yeah, so it also had some fun in there. So it's a pretty strong creative. I get why it worked so well. Back to the results. €35 ad spend, 3,300 people saw it, 52 clicked on it. That is a 1.5% click-through rate. That is good. I am not in the most exciting niche, but this looks good, and it's also the best click-through rate in here. So we would have been lucky guessing that this is the best ad when we would have just looked at the click-through rate. 52 clicked, but only 8 became leads. That is a 15% chance when people land on the landing page that they submit a form and they become a lead. And that costs us the least amount from all of them. That is €4.41 I spent in euros. So that is the winner. But the autonomy one is also a very interesting one. Yeah, it got the most money, but that is not important. Yeah, that was just because the video just performed so bad in the eyes of Meta. It had a totally mediocre click-through rate with 0.94, and I would have dismissed this one. I would have said, no, you are among the losers. Yeah, especially in combination with the bad performing video, because I prefer videos. I think they're just more interesting for people and to attach themselves to. But I might be wrong. Yeah, but look at this. This costs twice as much, but the people converted also much stronger. 45 people clicked, and in the opinion of Meta, 11 leads converted. So a higher percentage of the people actually submitted the form, and we got pretty close to the same CPL. And this is how I look through the data. Then I also look at the results like by message. So my main goal was, hey, which is the best message? And I just combine the image and video data. I don't do this manually. I asked the AI to do it, but I double check the results. And we can see that the messages, they all got pretty much $60. Yeah, but we see very strong differences in the click-through rate. 1.5% for community, 1% for autonomy, 1.15 for automation, but that didn't convert through properly. But really bad was like speed. Yeah, low conversions, low clicks, really bad. But these two are still like my favorites. Yeah. These conversion rates are not bad at all, but just the volume they got for the same money, I prefer like the community and the autonomy angle. This is a big realization for me, and it shines a light on my own biases. I'm a very freedom and data-driven guy. Yeah, so a thing like even building a community event was very left field for me. It was a decision I made pretty much exactly 10 years ago that turned out to be surprisingly good. Probably the best marketing move I have made for Pirate Skills overall are those monthly events. And my bias still puts blinders on and says like, no, community can't be that relevant. Humans are not that great. But no, humans really like other humans. And here we see it again. Yeah, even in data, so that a nerd like me really gets it hammered into their head. So what about which format works the best? Was it images or the videos? When I look at the images versus the videos above, I would have bet on the videos anytime. I was so happy with them. But look at these results. Images got 183, video got 117. So don't overinterpret the number of impressions they get. Yeah, this is mainly due to the spend difference. But there is a definitely higher click-through rate of people and a cheaper cost per click for the videos. So the videos must be the best, right? If you don't have the metapixel on your page and enough people consent, then this would have been the conclusion that you needed to take, because it's a 30% uplift from the click-through rate. But look at the other side. A higher percentage of people click on the ads actually convert on the landing page. And I would even say that this is a significant difference. I would actually have to calculate that. And so the cost per leads for the images were like 70 cents cheaper. That is about a 10% decrease if we call increase if you call this the baseline. So do you want to pay 10% more just to have videos, and you have to spend money to create those videos? So my conclusion would be here, in general, I like videos, and for my scaling campaigns, I will do them. But for testing campaigns, it doesn't seem to matter that much. So my future message testing campaigns are more likely to be image only, that are faster to create, cheaper, and produce better results. Amazing insights for me. I'll be doing this regularly again and again and share how that develops. Now let's just quickly talk about this little thing, the click-through rate versus the conversion. What is really more important? We got incredibly lucky when looking at the ads that the best performing one in the click-through rate also was the cheapest one. It wasn't the one that produced the most leads, but it was definitely the one that got the second most at the cheapest price, the one that I would double down on for sure. But very often people get confused by, oh, this must be the best ad because the highest percentage of people clicked on it. But look as deep as you can in the funnel. Even the lead is not the end. I can absolutely do my follow-up campaigns, see how many people sign up for a product like the Builder Codex or the Growth Forge, and see what actually produces sales as well. Which of those messages, yeah, and try to look as deep as humanly possible. And CTR is good for attention tracking and message testing, but you need to look as deep as possible. And I guess there is one more thing. Was it the truth? Did Meta even get the leads right that they measured? I looked into my database where I do full attribution tracking, yeah, and we're only looking at the people that consented here, and you can see something very interesting. Let's just look at the top two performers, the video community ad and the image autonomy ad. Meta reported 8 leads for the community and 11 for autonomy. But in reality, if I actually look in my database, it found 12 people from the video community ad. Those are 4 ones that were missing, and it actually overinterpreted the image autonomy ad. This can happen. This is normal that it rates that. Yeah, this is totally normal. But it overrates it when a user, for example, for whatever weirdness in their browser, triggered the conversion event twice. And this is why you actually have more conversion ends in Meta sometimes than in reality. And this highlights that this community angle is even stronger than I thought. Adjusting for the database differences, the actual cost per lead is around $3 for the best ad overall. This is way below my $10 baseline. And the average of all ads were about like 6 to 7. And the image autonomy doesn't look too great. It's still below the $10, but because of it over-reported on the Meta side, we have to be careful. So make sure that you verify the results that you see from Meta. And the only source of truth is your own database. And you need to have a marketer's mindset to write this type of attribution data, where do people come from, into your user table or a separate attribution table. Normal developers will hate this, but they won't get these results. Yeah, and those insights, and I hope that I get to convince some developers who are watching this to take the time and consider this worthwhile. Let's sum up what we learned so far. We have a clear winner, the community ad. My initial assumption was rejected. It just got the second place, so I was that guy. Yeah, on this top cover, the landlubber that sat on this local hill and said, I know what is best. But the community one was actually the one that was truly the best. So even I have to face the music when I see data such clear. But we got a strong confirmation also for the autonomy angle, even though it was slightly over-reported here. The conversion rate on the landing page I have to correct. But I think it's still a very, very strong angle that I can go for, and it resonates with people like me. So it gets like this little bonus in my mind. So then we have a large mediocre middle. Yeah, we got the co-founder gap that I thought would be good. It is a version of the autonomy angle that was not confirmed. Automation looked promising, but not great. So I'll either have to dump them or I have to really improve how I present these angles. But we looked at the results for the speed angle, and I have to cut these losers. Ads that get like $50, $60 and produce barely any results. I think we saw 2 leads coming in from there. Just kill it and think about, what does this say about my audience? Yeah, this ad was saying something like, create in hours what took weeks for a team. That wasn't the thing that people wanted to hear. And I have to understand the psychology behind that. And maybe that helps me understand my audience more and more. And I also learned about the formats, images versus videos. Images converted better on the landing page after the click, but the videos were more exciting on the platform. So I can, without a bad conscience, stop wasting money on the videos. Yeah, but I'll continue testing that as well. So after you've done such a test like this, you need to just write down, what are the next steps? Let's scale the community ones, which means create more variations of the community angle, position it differently, package it in other formats, stand in front of the camera, invite people to join the community, but also do iterations on the second best one. And this now cost me pretty much exactly $300. I got 38 leads based on Meta with full attribution and consent. I got a couple more in the database, and it took me 4 days to clearly identify a new winner and learn something very fundamental about my audience, which is you, that you love community. So why don't you join also our WhatsApp group if you're from further away? Now it's your turn. Think about which campaign you want to drive next. Do this positioning framework for a specific set of audience or a specific product that you have in mind. Take some time to do it and create some creatives with the help of the prompts I showed you above and the tools I shared. Set aside a budget like $300 to $500, run it, interpret the data, and please share it with the community here. You might be really surprised on what you see there. And this is exactly what we do at the Growth Lab events, which are also free monthly marketing-oriented or Vibe marketing-oriented events that you can join online, where we exchange ideas like that. And the Growth Forge is like the paid workshop series version of that, where we go extremely deep into, for example, how to set up these campaigns and how to do the tracking properly. But honestly, everything here in the article is a perfect start for you. I hope you stop guessing, start testing, and that you find a new winning message. Cheers, Ben.